You know, the hardest fighters are the ones that don't want to get knocked out. To knock out, you know, it's like, because you got to take risk with them, and like at the end of it, you know, he's still a puncher. You know, you don't want to overcommit, especially, you know, he's very fast, you know.
I committed to myself and my dad that I will be the best version of myself every time I step out there, and I want to present to the people who I really am.
Ryan Garcia just delivered a sparring session that has everyone in boxing talking. And what happened in that gym might have revealed exactly why Mario Barrios should be terrified. We're talking about a fighter who disappeared for an entire year, barely stepped foot in a gym, and now he's back looking like a completely different animal. But here's the thing nobody's discussing. There's something way bigger happening behind the scenes of this February 21st showdown. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why this fight could either resurrect Garcia's career or destroy it completely.
That I don't usually do. And so it's hard to fit in exactly what he wants you to fit in until later. So like, he f***ed up. Because you shouldn't go into a fight like this right off the bat off a change. And now I'm on fire. Like, yeah, I had that bad form, but like that still got me in some type of shape to get in for the next one. And now I'm like, damn, let's go all the way.
So let's talk about what went down when Garcia stepped into the ring with Rolly Romero for those sparring sessions. This wasn't just some light work to stay sharp. This was Garcia testing himself against a pressure fighter who brings exactly the kind of chaos that Mario Barrios is going to unleash on fight night. And according to everyone who witnessed it, Garcia's hand speed was so explosive that even Romero, who's been in there with elite fighters, couldn't react fast enough to counter. But here's where it gets interesting. Romero walked away from those sessions saying something that should make every Garcia fan nervous. He admitted he has no idea which version of Ryan Garcia is going to show up on February 21st. Think about that for a second. His own sparring partner, who just felt that legendary hand speed firsthand, still questions Garcia's mental state. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement when you're about to face a veteran like Barrios, who's already been in there with legends like Manny Pacquiao.
Low, drive, right, which is gonna work that serratus muscle. So when Ryan takes his shot, everything is coming through here, and it's also the big boxer muscle.
There it is.
That's what we do.
Damn, only halfway. You already did 100 of them. There you go. Come on. Let's go, nephew. Get it. Whoosh. Whoosh. Look at that serratus.
The next workout is our running machine.
Yes.
This machine works the extension and the flexion
Let's go,
without
baby.
putting all
Push
that
it.
pressure as if we were outside running.
Great work. Come on, man. Push it. Come on. Let's go. Good job. Okay, good. There we go. 5 seconds. Come on. 5 seconds, 40 yards.
Now here's what's absolutely wild about this whole situation. Garcia chose his father as his trainer for this comeback fight, and Henry Garcia just dropped a bombshell admission that explains everything. During the Devin Haney camp, Ryan wasn't focused. He was distracted. He wasn't fully committed to the process. But this time, Henry is claiming we're going to see a completely different fighter. He's talking about a leaner frame, improved stamina, and more explosive power. The problem is, we've heard this story before. How many times have we seen fighters and their teams promise a new and improved version after a layoff, only to watch them get exposed the moment they face real competition? And let's be honest about what happened during that year away from boxing. Garcia admitted he barely stepped into the gym. He lost focus on the sport completely. You don't just flip a switch and erase 12 months of deterioration, no matter how naturally gifted you are.
I'm on fire. Like, yeah, I had that bad form, but like that still got me in some type of shape to get in for the next one. And now I'm like, damn, let's go all the way, you know?
You know, we're just coming off the press conference and you had your face off afterwards. Mario's a big guy. He's a tall
Well, no,
guy.
don't be fooled. They got them boots on, that, like 3 inch heels. Don't be fooled, bro. I looked at him, I was like, you ain't this tall, brother. I know. He got them heels on. Like his head and face is big, but like his body ain't. You ain't making 147 if that head matches that body. That's cute. He do got that Aztec look though. thick bone. I gotta break that.
I've seen you had a lot of success against smaller fighters. You timed them exceptionally well. I don't know though if you fought a guy this tall. I mean, have you fought somebody this kind of height? Or
If history repeats itself and patterns show, I knock out these type of people, taller people, like, but in disgusting fashion. Every time I've sparred a taller guy, fought a taller guy, they just get clipped and just boom. Maybe because they're a little bit more higher and I gotta hit them, like, I don't know. But that's kind of what I've noticed in my lifetime and every time I've fought a taller person.
But wait, it gets even more complicated. Garcia claims he's not worried that his coaches are also training Mario Barrios. He's out there saying preparation and game plan matter more than shared guidance, that once the bell rings, loyalty fades and performance decides everything. That sounds confident on the surface, but think about the reality of this situation. His own training team has intimate knowledge of his weaknesses, his tendencies, his game plan. And they're sharing a gym with the guy who's trying to knock his head off. Garcia might be playing it cool publicly, but you have to wonder if this is really the smartest move for someone trying to rebuild their career after such a chaotic period. It's like giving your opponent the playbook, and then acting surprised when they know exactly how to counter everything you're doing.
And your dad's never been gone. He's been part of your team no matter who's been your head trainer, but he is back as your head trainer for this fight. Walk me through that decision. Why did you decide to go back to your roots and have your dad train you for what is a pretty big fight in your career?
Man, everything that's good in my life is when it's guided by God, my instincts, and not kind of pushed from anything else, like no outer source, whether it be money, whether it be trying to please somebody, whether it be, any other motive other than myself, God, and my instincts and my heart. So, my instinct, my heart said, you know what, I'm gonna bring back my dad. I feel like I got so much knowledge from all three of those coaches and all displayed and new, certain things that I may have been missing. And I think I've gotten what I needed out of those trainers and through my journey of becoming a better fighter. And my dad has been there for the whole ride. So he soaked in all that knowledge and now we're ready just to be a father-son duo and take over.
Here's the kicker though, Tim Bradley just broke down exactly why this fight is guaranteed to end in a knockout. And his analysis should terrify anyone betting on Garcia. Bradley pointed out that both fighters are aggressive, which creates constant openings for devastating counters. Barrios has those solid fundamentals, that dangerous right hand, and a capable left hook that could end Garcia's night instantly. But here's the part that should worry Garcia fans the most. Bradley specifically highlighted how Garcia's defensive habits leave him completely exposed to left hooks. We're talking about a fighter who stands tall with his chin high and his hands dangerously low. That's not just a technical flaw, that's a recipe for getting knocked unconscious. And Barrios has exactly the kind of counter-punching skills and timing to exploit those openings the moment Garcia gets aggressive with his in-and-out style.
You think he knows things about you that are going to help Mario Barrios be successful on fight night?
Nah, I don't think so at all. I mean, like I said, I've picked his brain. I'm a very observant person. When I'm around a trainer, I observe everything they do. Their movement, why they say this. I question a lot of things. So if anything, I know what they're doing. And it kind of seems like he's disinterested in this fight. But I think because he's been through a lot of wars, he's taken a lot of punches, that spark is like, damn, I gotta do it again. Like this gonna suck. Like, that's kind of what I've seen in him though.
Well, the reverse, I guess, you sort of touched on it, might be true. Do you think that your knowledge of how a Joe Goosen trains fighters can be useful when you're getting ready for Mario Barrios?
As best as I can, as best as that will be displayed on fight night. I don't think a fighter can change that much stylistically wise. Now, I'm not saying that.
Now listen to this part, because it reveals everything about Garcia's current mental state. He's out there promising fans an exciting show, talking about how boxing is entertainment as much as competition. He wants people to remember his performance. He's promising to fight with aggression, speed, and confidence, aiming for a decisive victory rather than a cautious approach. But here's what's concerning about all this talk. It sounds exactly like someone who's trying to convince himself as much as the fans. When fighters start talking about putting on a show instead of focusing on winning, that's usually a red flag. It suggests they're more concerned with their image and public perception than with the tactical adjustments needed to actually win the fight. Garcia keeps saying he wants to prove he belongs at the top level and silence critics. But proving you belong isn't about flashy performances. It's about grinding out victories against quality opposition.
Ryan's fast as shit. Ain't nobody gonna say Ryan's not one of the fastest fighters. And I look way faster at 47, way more explosive, way more durable, way more like agile. You know, everything.
And get this, the weight situation is creating another layer of drama that nobody's talking about. Garcia and his team are claiming that moving up to 147 pounds from 140 shouldn't be a problem, especially without harsh rehydration rules complicating the process. But here's what they're not mentioning. Both Garcia and Barrios have already dealt with the nightmare of fighting under rehydration clauses against Tank Davis. Barrios was brutally honest about how difficult that weight cut was, admitting it was extremely tough and that he tried to rehydrate as best as possible within the restrictions. The difference is, Barrios learned from that experience and moved up to welterweight where he belongs. Garcia is still trying to figure out where his body naturally fits, and that uncertainty could be a major factor when he's facing someone who's already comfortable at this weight class.
You know, during the year off that I actually was in the gym, now I was not in the gym at all. I was literally, you know, just not caring about boxing, didn't even think about boxing. And then they gave me 2 months to prepare for a fight, and I had to lose 30 pounds, and it was just a lot of things that you shouldn't do in a camp. And, you know, we definitely learned from our mistake there. And like I told everybody, just like Tom Brady when he misses a pass, it's a good analogy that you got.
But here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. Mario Barrios has been breaking down the differences between fighting Manny Pacquiao and preparing for Ryan Garcia, and his insights reveal exactly why this matchup is so dangerous for both fighters. Barrios described sharing the ring with Pacquiao as high-speed chess because of the legend's timing, ring IQ, and durability. He had to constantly adjust during that fight because Pacquiao's experience and composure made every exchange a tactical battle. When he talks about Garcia, though, Barrios sees a completely different challenge: younger, more explosive, dangerous with speed and power, but relying more on athleticism than veteran craft. That's actually a backhanded compliment if you think about it. Barrios is essentially saying Garcia is physically gifted but mentally unrefined compared to elite competition. And after a year-long layoff with minimal gym time, that gap in ring IQ and tactical awareness has probably gotten even wider.
I'll bring my best game and we'll see what happens.
How do you feel it's going to be like without a crowd?
It's gonna ass. Even when I knock him out or hurt him, it's not gonna be as fun, but that's why I said I'm just gonna get this victory, dominate him. I only fight for other people. I don't care about myself. My ego's out of this game. I'm all about winning and entertaining everybody.
Here's the reality that nobody wants to acknowledge. This fight represents a massive crossroads for Ryan Garcia's entire career, and the pressure might be too much for someone who's already shown cracks under stress. He's 25 years old, he's already had multiple controversies and setbacks, and now he's trying to convince the boxing world that his year away from the sport was actually beneficial. But the evidence suggests otherwise. His sparring partner questions his mental state. His father admits he wasn't focused during his last major camp. He's sharing trainers with his opponent, and he's facing a veteran who's already been tested at the highest levels and learned from those experiences. Garcia keeps talking about reintroducing himself and reminding everyone of his talent. But what if this comeback attempt just exposes how much he's regressed during that time away from serious competition?
Fundamentals. I think that Barrios is better, in every department, to be honest with you, besides the speed and the power. That area. But Barrios does have some pop on his shots, and he has some counterpunching ability where I think he can hurt Ryan Garcia. Do I see this fight going a distance? I don't think this fight's going to go to distance. I think there's going to be a knockout in this fight. It's either going to be Ryan Garcia catching him as he's coming in, or vice versa. You're going to have Barrios catching Ryan Garcia as he comes in, or even if he exits, with a right hand or something like that. Man, I see Ryan having a hard time with just, again, the IQ of Barrios. Say whatever you want to say about him. Barrios is tough, he's gritty, he's solid.
So there you have it. Garcia's back in the gym, showing flashes of that explosive speed that made him famous. But the questions about his mental approach and tactical preparation remain unanswered. This isn't just about whether he can still throw fast punches. It's about whether he can handle the pressure of a high-stakes comeback against a seasoned veteran who knows exactly how to exploit his weaknesses. And honestly, Everything we've seen suggests this fight is going to reveal the truth about where Garcia really stands in the welterweight division. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Do you think Garcia's natural talent is enough to overcome a year of lost development? Or is Barrios going to expose the flaws that time away from serious competition has created? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake in this February showdown, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell because we're going to be covering every twist and turn as fight night approaches. I'll see you in the next one.
Is you never want to hook with a hooker, but you know, as I follow the evolution of him and his craft, you know, it seems the left hook gets in there, man, and he can get buzzed by the left hook. Barrios isn't a bad puncher. He's a pretty good solid puncher, but the left hook is dangerous to punch with Ryan Garcia with the left hook. However, I've seen Haney do it. You know, I don't know, for some apparent reason, guys that know how to throw that left hook, they sucker for left hooks themselves. I remember De La Hoya being a sucker for the left hook as well. You know, they're really good at landing their left hook, but shit, they don't do well with taking one in return. But the punch for Barrios is the right hand. And he will have opportunities to land it on Ryan Garcia, because Ryan, he shoots his jab and he brings his hand back low. And then he stands up tall as well. So he's always having his, you know, chin, you know, straight.
And speaking of what's really at stake, let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind about the financial side of this comeback that nobody's discussing. Garcia's team negotiated this fight knowing that his marketability took a massive hit during that year-long absence. But here's the crazy part. His social media following actually grew during his time away from boxing. We're talking about a fighter who maintained his brand without stepping foot in the ring, which means the pressure to deliver isn't just about boxing credibility anymore. It's about proving that all those millions of followers translate into pay-per-view buys and gate receipts. But here's where it gets really interesting. Industry insiders are saying that if Garcia loses this fight, especially if he gets knocked out, his drawing power could evaporate overnight. You can't sell fights on social media presence alone when you're getting stopped by guys who aren't even considered elite welterweights.
47 is not too far off from 140. So there's a strong possibility without rehydration cost, we could probably drop down to 140 with.
But let's dig deeper into something that's absolutely fascinating about Mario Barrios that most people don't realize. This guy has been consistently underestimated throughout his entire career, and there's a pattern here that should terrify Garcia's camp. When Barrios fought Tank Davis, everyone expected him to get blown out early. Instead, he gave Davis serious problems for 8 rounds before getting stopped. When he moved up to welterweight, critics said he'd struggle with the bigger fighters. Instead, he's looked more comfortable and powerful than ever. The guy has this ability to rise to the occasion against bigger names, and Garcia represents the biggest opportunity of his career. We're talking about a fighter who's motivated by proving doubters wrong, facing someone who's been handed opportunities based on social media fame rather than ring accomplishments. That's a dangerous combination of skill and motivation that Garcia might not be prepared for.
I mean, you know, listen, this is another thing that I've been seeing, and this is kind of interesting, is that, yeah, you got to rehydrate, of course, absolutely. Now, how far you can rehydrate? I would love to be over 7, 8 pounds. Some go 10, some go 12, some even go 15, you know, but they do rehydrate. But when you're in shape, in total fitness, I think the most you could hydrate is 7 or 8.
Now here's something absolutely wild that just came out about Garcia's training camp preparations. Sources close to the gym are saying that Ryan has been obsessing over knockout highlight reels, spending hours watching his own devastating left hook compilations from fights against Luke Campbell and Javier Fortuna. On the surface, that might sound like confidence building, but sports psychologists will tell you that fighters who dwell on past performances instead of focusing on current preparation are usually trying to convince themselves they still have something they might have lost. Think about it. If you're truly confident in your current abilities, why do you need to constantly remind yourself of what you accomplished years ago? This behavior suggests that even Garcia himself might be questioning whether that explosive power is still there after such a long layoff from serious competition.
What are we?
What are we expecting from Ryan and Barrios? You know, you beat Ryan recently. Dan was very outspoken about how he looked bad in that fight. What kind of Ryan do we expect coming into that fight versus Mario Barrios?
I don't know. What are you guys all expecting?
You know, there's something that keeps on saying, and I kind of agree to it, that we're uncertain what kind of Ryan we're going to get, right? Like, what kind of, how's he going to see him come into the fight? Conor Ben said that. I've said that we don't know what to expect, what kind of Ryan. If we get a Ryan, obviously focused and training, he could beat a good fight versus Barrios. So what do you think?
I don't know what I think. You know, like I said,
You got to give me something, Rolly.
I tell you, for all we know, he might still have PTSD from me.
And get this, the sparring footage that's been leaked from both camps tells a completely different story than what we're hearing in interviews. Garcia's sessions show flashes of brilliance, but they also reveal concerning moments where his timing looks off and his defensive positioning is sloppy. Meanwhile, Barrios has been working with southpaw sparring partners who mimic Garcia's style, and the reports coming out of his camp suggest he's found specific counters for Garcia's signature combinations. We're talking about a veteran who's had months to study Garcia's tendencies, while Garcia has been trying to shake off ring rust and remember muscle memory that might not be there anymore. The tactical preparation advantage clearly favors Barrios, and in a sport where split-second timing determines outcomes, that could be the difference between victory and devastating defeat.
Thing is, this man, Manny Pacquiao, we're going to talk about him just for a little bit, who Ryan Garcia has said is a hero of his, and you're going to face Ryan Garcia. So you're going back to back. But Manny Pacquiao being over the hill, quote unquote, he still had that game. He still had the speed and reflexes. He still had the IQ and certain things that, like you said, it's different when you're in there, huh? Kind of threw you off a bit.
Yeah.
So, with Ryan Garcia, you can match him physically. The guy is a tall guy, all right? The guy's a strong guy, so are you. Knockout power, you got the length, all those things. But his speed, how are you going to deal with that speed without giving too much away? I don't want you to give too much away, but how are you going to deal with that speed when you guys fight?
Timing always beats speed, and boxing IQ also. And I think, you know, going into this fight, I know I'm the better fighter. I know on a boxing level, not saying Ryan isn't good. You know, like, he's good at what he does. He's very explosive, but I just know I'm the better fighter. I just know what I'm better at in this fight, and I'm gonna show that on the February 21st.
But here's where the psychology of this fight gets really interesting, and it's something that could completely change how you view this matchup. Garcia has been posting constantly on social media about his training, his mindset, his preparation, basically documenting every aspect of his comeback journey. That might look like confidence to casual fans, but veteran fighters and trainers recognize it as something else entirely. When you're truly locked in and focused on the task at hand, you don't need external validation and constant updates about your progress. The greatest champions in boxing history were notoriously private during camp, letting their performance do the talking. Garcia's social media activity suggests he's still seeking approval and trying to convince people he's back, which means he's probably trying to convince himself too. That's not the mindset of a fighter who's genuinely confident in his preparation and abilities.
You guys had this in common until you just tweeted it or X'd it. What do they call it now? But you guys, both of you fought Tank.
Yeah.
And everybody was raving about and talking about the rehydration clause that was put on Ryan. And then you just came out very simply, that happened to me too. Talk about that. How much does that affect you? And when you saw Ryan out there, did you kind of feel his pain? Like, hey, listen, man, I know that was hard to do.
Yeah.
How much does that affect? Or you're like a no excuses, it didn't affect me at all type of.
Yeah. You sign the contract, you know what you're signing up for. You know, so I'm not gonna sit here and about it because it didn't go my way. When I accepted the fight with Tank, I was already planning on moving up to welterweight. But of course, you know, that fight was presented, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna pass up the opportunity.
Right.
And I knew on the boxing level with Tank, like, I've been boxing just as long as you know, he had. So I knew on a boxing level with him, like, I could.
Now let me break down something about the stylistic matchup that Tim Bradley touched on, but didn't fully explore. Garcia's entire offensive system is built around his ability to dart in and out of range, using his speed to land clean shots while avoiding return fire. But here's the problem. That style requires perfect timing and distance management, skills that deteriorate rapidly during extended layoffs. Barrios, on the other hand, is a pressure fighter who's most dangerous when opponents try to engage and disengage quickly. He's got the experience to cut off the ring and force Garcia into exchanges where that defensive liability becomes a major problem. We're looking at a scenario where Garcia's best weapons might actually play right into Barrios' strengths, especially if Garcia's timing is even slightly off from that year away from competition. And speaking of timing, let me tell you about something that happened during Garcia's recent media appearances that should concern everyone betting on his chances. During interviews, he's been repeatedly asked about specific tactical adjustments he's made during this camp, and his answers have been frustratingly vague. He talks about being in the best shape of his life, about having renewed focus, about wanting to put on a show, but he never gets into the technical details of what he's actually improved. Compare that to Barrios, who can break down specific aspects of his game plan, discuss technical adjustments he's made since moving up to welterweight, and articulate exactly how he plans to exploit Garcia's weaknesses. That level of tactical awareness and preparation usually translates directly to performance on fight night, and right now, Barrios sounds like the more prepared fighter. Here's something else that's absolutely crucial to understand about this matchup. The referee and judging situation could play a massive role in determining the outcome. Garcia's style tends to produce moments of explosive action followed by periods of movement and reset. If the referee allows Barrios to lean on Garcia during clinches and rough him up on the inside, it could completely neutralize Garcia's speed advantage and turn this into a grinding, physical battle. Garcia has never shown the kind of inside fighting skills or physical toughness needed to win those types of exchanges. Meanwhile, Barrios has proven he can adapt to different styles of officiating and has the veteran savvy to make tactical adjustments mid-fight based on what the referee allows. That experience advantage becomes even more significant when you consider that Garcia hasn't been in a high-pressure situation with championship implications for over a year. But let's talk about something that nobody in Garcia's camp wants to address, the elephant in the room regarding his chin and defensive habits. During his layoff, Garcia put on weight, then had to lose it again for this comeback. That kind of weight fluctuation can affect a fighter's ability to take a punch, especially when combined with the natural deterioration that comes from time away from sparring and getting hit regularly. His chin was already questionable after the Tank Davis fight, where he showed heart, but also demonstrated that he could be hurt and dropped by accurate power shots. Now he's facing Barrios, who might not have Davis's one-punch knockout power, but definitely has the technical skills to land clean, hard shots consistently throughout the fight. If Garcia's chin has deteriorated at all during his time away, this could turn into a very short night. And here's where the mental game becomes absolutely critical, because Garcia is facing pressure that he's never dealt with before in his career. This isn't just another fight on his resume, this is his attempt to prove that his year away from boxing was beneficial rather than detrimental. The problem is, every aspect of his performance is going to be scrutinized and compared to his pre-layoff form. If he looks even slightly slower, less sharp, or more hesitant than before, the narrative will immediately shift to questions about whether he's lost a step permanently. That kind of pressure can cause fighters to either overperform in trying to prove a point, or completely freeze up when they realize they're not the same fighter they used to be. Based on Garcia's recent interviews and social media activity, he seems more concerned with perception than performance, which suggests he might be feeling that pressure more than he's willing to admit. Now here's something really fascinating about the betting odds and public perception that reveals everything about how this fight is being viewed by people who actually understand boxing. The casual fans and social media followers are backing Garcia based on name recognition and highlight real memories, but the smart money and professional bettors are quietly moving toward Barrios. We're seeing a classic split between public perception and industry reality, where Garcia's fame is inflating his perceived chances, while his actual boxing skills and preparation are being questioned by people who know what to look for. This kind of betting pattern usually indicates that the famous fighter is being overvalued, and the veteran is being overlooked, which historically leads to upsets that shock casual fans but don't surprise boxing insiders. And let me tell you about the most concerning aspect of Garcia's recent public statements. He keeps talking about wanting to entertain fans and put on a show, but he's not talking enough about the tactical adjustments needed to actually win the fight. Entertainment and victory aren't always compatible, especially when you're facing a skilled veteran who's looking to exploit every mistake. The fighters who talk about putting on shows are usually the ones who end up getting caught while trying to force exciting moments instead of fighting smart. Barrios, meanwhile, has been talking about game plans, preparation, and taking advantage of opportunities, the language of a fighter who's focused on winning rather than looking good while losing. That fundamental difference in approach could determine everything about how this fight unfolds. So here's what I think is really going to happen on February 21st, and why everything we've discussed points to one inevitable conclusion. Garcia is going to come out fast and aggressive, looking to make a statement early and remind everyone of his explosive capabilities. For the first few rounds, he might even look like the Garcia of old, landing some clean shots and showing flashes of that legendary hand speed. But as the fight progresses and Barrios starts to time his movements, pressure him consistently, and land clean counter shots, we're going to see the reality of what that year-long layoff actually cost him. His timing will be slightly off, his defensive habits will leave him exposed, and his conditioning might not hold up under sustained pressure from a motivated veteran who's prepared for exactly this scenario.